Hello everybody, you are at Atlantic Mechanical. Today we are fortunate enough to have Dave Einig from the Kold Draft Corporation come out, and we're going to do some training on Kold Draft ice machines. Kold Draft is one of the premier brands in our industry. They usually find them in high-end restaurants and sophisticated places, and people that know what they want use Kold Draft. We've been working on these for a long time. This is our certification class for those who have not been certified, so we're going to make the most of it. And Dave, I'd like to thank you and welcome you to Atlantic Mechanical.
I appreciate you having me. So we'll get started if you're ready. All right. How you doing, guys? Have I spoken with any of you guys on the phone at all?
I don't think so, no.
Haven't come into that? Okay. Usually there's a pretty good contingency of hands that go up when we get to a Kold Draft. Like Dan said, the Kold Draft ice cube, our biggest seller is the 1.25 inch square cube. We almost discontinued that line about, I'm not even going to give you the time, but there was a time where it was talked that it wasn't selling and they were going to get rid of it. And thank God they didn't, because we wouldn't be in business without it. But it's not an ice cube for the masses. Usually that big cube, usually it's found in high-end bars, cocktail, for their cocktail programs. I hear all the time, New York City especially, if you don't have an Kold Draft ice machine in your business, you're not going to make it. And it's mind-boggling to me because it's ice, but people love it. They want that cube. And I always have a bag in my freezer when I have a cocktail at home, because they are nice in that setting. You don't get as much melt. They're harder, more dense. You can see the cracks and the fissures in the cube. Those are normal when you guys see that. So do a little, we've been in business since 1929. Not always making ice machines, but that's when the business started as Uniflow. We did pumps and different stuff. We started making ice machines in 1955. All right, so it has, the ice machine layout hasn't really changed a whole lot since that time. We still use a lot of the same parts. I'll show you those, but we are in the process. We've made a lot of changes because we had to, because it was just breaking down too much. And now we're on the right track where you're going to see some of these changes. I'll point them out to you and you're going to be like, wow, this is going to make a big difference. And they really are. So we were, like I said, formerly known as Uniflow, KDI, now Kold Draft International. We're owned by Neil Asbury. Okay, he owns the legacy companies. I don't know if you've ever heard of the legacy company. They have he has 9 other companies. I'm not going to sit here and name them all because I don't really pay attention to them all, but different spots around the country. He cut his teeth on Kold Draft overseas, or here, and then he moved overseas, and that's where he started his business. And then he came back, and now he's buying all these companies. We still have a big interest. He has a big interest overseas. We do a lot of selling in Japan, all over the world. They're everywhere. So that is our background right now. We are located in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but head west on 90. If you get on 90 here and head west, you'll run right into it. So you'll run right into PA, you run down along the Great Lakes and out that way. I actually live in New York. I'm like 27 miles from Erie. We're right on Lake Erie. I just straight shot up the lake on the work. So it's a nice commute. I was telling Dan, coming here at 2:30 in the afternoon, accident. Stop. Creep for a half an hour, 3 miles open road, accident. It was, and we were here, my wife and I were here in the late summer. We went up and did a trip. We went up to Maine and came back down the coast and came over this way, and it was like that. And she said, never again. She said, I will not do it. I texted her last night. I said, you'll be glad you didn't come, because the last 80 miles sucked. So, yeah, it's. But if you guys are ever out that way, Niagara Falls isn't too far away. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. And if you're ever in that way and you're in Pennsylvania, shit, Kold Draft's here. Stop in, even if unannounced, doesn't matter. Just stop in. We'll give you a tour of the place. We still make everything in-house. Everything, not every part is made in-house, obviously, but we bend our own sheet metal. We do everything. Our evaporators, I'll show you a piece. We have a piece of one here. Those were made in-house right up till about a year or so ago, and now those are made in China, one of Neil's companies. So they're ours, but they're made overseas, but they seem to be holding up pretty well. We were having some issues with them, so hopefully we're on the right track. So we're gonna, when you look at cold draft, you're gonna have 3 cube sizes. The big cube is 1.25 inches square. Our half cube is cut it in half. And then we do have a cubelet, but we've discontinued, so you may see some of those out there, and that's a half cube, cut in half. That's all we do is bap, bap, bap. So you may see some cubelets out there, but we're not making them anymore. We just weren't selling enough, so we just took them right off the market. And we've replaced them with some undercounters. I don't know if you guys have seen those. The SC201s, all under there, they make the big cube, 110, but we'll go over those as well. In the C cube, one of the important things is when you get to a call is looking at that ice cube. It'll tell you everything. Just pick a piece out of the bin before you even start it. That big cube should have a slight dimple in it. About the size, I tell everybody about the size of a pencil eraser. Take a pencil, flip it over, put it in that cube, and you have that dimple. You will have many, many people that say, I don't want that dimple. The salesman told me I didn't have to have that dimple. I want a completely square cube. Salesmen don't like to say no. They're gonna do whatever they have to say to make the sale. And then I get to be the bad guy and say, I'm sorry, but that's not the way it goes. So we have to have a dimple in there, because if we don't, then it starts to freeze to the water plate. The plate comes up, we have nowhere for that water to go, it's gonna freeze to the plate, and that's when things start breaking. So they have to understand that, and I will, if you're someplace and somebody wants a firm answer, you've got my number. Have them call me. Please explain this to them, and I do it all the time. So they're never very happy about it, but as soon as I say you can do it, but you won't have any warranty, that usually changes their mind right away. Because we can't pay for it if it's breaking in that way. You gotta remember too, another thing they say is the crystal clear, and there is literature out there, I don't know where it came from. You know what, I wanna step back for 1 second. I've been with Cold Draft 10 years, okay? I'm a warranty technician, I've been doing it for 5, and I've been teaching now just probably about a year, doing classes. My boss, who's been there 42 years, he's retiring next month. So I'm moving into his spot as the warranty manager. I'm still gonna be doing all the classes. I've got to hire, you're still going to get me on the phone when you call, because his phone's forwarded to mine. All right, so and when he goes, I'm still going to be taking all the phone calls, because I've got to find somebody and get them trained and get them up to speed. So that's in the process, but for the immediate future, when you call, you're going to get me at Cold Draft. So I just wanted to give you a little background. I started building, and then I tested, and then I moved into warranty, so warranty and training. So that's kind of my 10-year path at Cold Draft. I didn't know if I'd be there that long, but it's worked out really well. Another thing, when you look at the Cold Draft ice cube, you pick it up, you're going to see it's got, you can look in that picture on the front of the brochure, you can see those cracks and fissures inside the ice cube. That's what you want to see. It's not going to be crystal clear. We do not make a crystal clear ice cube. If somebody asked for it, I couldn't even tell them how to make one. We just don't do it. It's not possible with our ice machine. You want to see the cracks and fissures. That's the hardness, you know, the density of the cube showing in there. They shouldn't be white. If you've got white ice and it's sticking together in the bin, that's going to be a water issue. You got to remember, we don't change the composite of the ice at all. What we get is what we make ice with. You fill it with Kool-Aid, you're going to get a Kool-Aid ice cube. So, you know, so that's one thing to look when you're, you know, when they're saying it's white, it's white, it's white, and it's sticking together in the bin. Those two things tells me TDS is high, total dissolved solids in the water. And I don't know if you guys have them, but this will tell you exactly what it is. It's a TDS meter. Melt some ice cubes, turn it on, stick it in the water, and it'll tell you what your levels are. We want to see it. They're not very expensive, so tell Dan to get a couple of them. Yes. We would like to see the ice machine. We will take out TDS with our process. All right, we can get rid of that. The way our evaporator sits this way,
Yes.
horizontal instead of vertical. Okay, so we will drop a lot of that out. If we can get it to 135 to the ice machine, we can get it down to about 35. So that's a number, a goal that you want to hit with that TDS if you come across that situation where it's sticky and white and, you know, I've got a block of block of ice in my bin. I've got to chisel it out every morning. I've heard that numerous times, you know, and they'll say, I have a Manitowoc sitting right next to it and it doesn't do it. Well, I can't talk about that. I don't know them. I don't claim to know them. I don't want to know them. So I don't know what they're doing there, and is there a different water line? Are they on different water lines? Does it come from two different sources? I don't know that, and they probably don't either. So that's the only way to get rid of that is put it on our RO system, reverse osmosis. We don't sell them, but we know that will take care of it.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's another expense that they're not really willing to take. I understand that. Our ice machines are stackable. Even with the machines that go back into the 60s, 70s, 80s, they're all stackable with our new ones. We tell everybody, if you're gonna do that, put the old one on top. Because you know it's going first. But, you know, we've got ice machines out there that are 40 years old. We had one running in the shop consistently since like 1962. You know, it'd break apart here and there, you change it out, thing's still running. So a lot of people ask, how long will a cold draft last? That's a loaded question because I can't answer it, because we've got machines out there, like I said, that are 40-some years old. You know, it's like buying a car. You know, you got two identical cars right next to each other. One's gonna break something, the other one's gonna be fine. They're gonna go, my wife's car's fine, you know? So it's just a matter of, you know, kind of luck of the draw, but they all last. If they're clean and well maintained, cleaned every 6 months, then, you know, you're gonna be ahead of the game. And if you do stack, try to remember, just keep cube sizes together. It seems like common sense, I know, but I gotta say it, you know, because you're gonna mix it into a bin. We do have a crusher that'll give you a crushed and cube, and then we split the bin, but there's no way to separate those cubes if you do a half cube and a full cube put together. I know around here, just like at home, I heard somebody in the lobby say, oh, this rain, but at least it's not snow. I felt like I was home. Because that's pretty much what we've been saying now but we got snow. I don't know if you guys had any yet?
We just a little light dusting.
Yeah, we got like 4 or 5 inches last week. Yeah, so it's about 20 degrees colder than normal. You know, this is like we're in like January weather. Yeah, it's been cold. So, but you got to, where I was headed with that is these machines are intended to be used inside, installed inside. Okay, they can't be outside in the weather. Inside only. These machines are commercial units. Shouldn't be installed in homes. We have people that install them in homes because they want that big cube. And our undercounter, that is designed for home, but these bigger machines are not. Okay, they are there. I don't know what your guys' policy is. Usually we can't get anybody to work on them at a home because of the liability of ruining somebody's kitchen or, you know, going into somebody's house. So I don't know what your guys' policy is on that, but however, if you can't go in, you can't
We don't
go
do
in.
residential.
Yeah, so, yeah, that puts a stop to it right there. And that's what we come across, you know, especially with service companies, they come and go. You know, I'll give somebody call this person, they're out of business, they're out of it, you know, so it's like a revolving door. In cold draft, I mean, years ago, cold draft was it. You couldn't find anything but a cold draft out there. And we've been through a few bankruptcies over the years, come out on top, and then Neil bought us, and we seem to be in a pretty good spot. We are forecasted to do about 1,000 more machines. We do about 1,200 a year, new ones. And our warranty lasts 3 years, parts and labor, 5 years on the evaporator and the compressor. Those last 2 years are parts only. All right, so they won't get any labor involved in that, so you can charge. So, water, the ice cube making process obviously is water, temperature, and heat in the room. It's going to make a big difference with air cooled. We have remote units. We'll go over those here in a second. Remote units, liquid and air. Okay, so we can pretty much do anything. If it's over 50 feet, a line set is over 50 feet, you gotta call and get approval from us. It would be me at this point. Usually it's my boss, but, so you just gotta remember, you know, we don't want a lot of traps, that kind of stuff. If it's, and it's gotta be, the condenser has to be above the ice machine, okay, even or above. If these units are found outside, please tell me. All right, I know you feel like you're tattling on one of your customers, but if they're found outside, I gotta know, because I can't warranty it if it's out there, so. And a lot of people, they'll just shut them off, drain the water out of them, they'll have them out there on patio, like around here in the summertime, or, you know, and use them that way, but we can't do it, there's just too many variables there, so. Let me know. Our remote condensers come with, the remote units are, you can get them in a GT5, a GB5, and a GB10, not the small unit, the 300. Again, we'll go over that in here. Condenser line sets come in 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 feet. Anything over that has to be approved by me. And we have them that are out there, I will, as long as I know where they're going, and we have a rough idea of what the line is and where this is set up, so it's not a problem.
Pre-charged line sets?
Yes, yep, they're all preset. They have quick connects on the back of the machine. Turn them on, turn them off. You shouldn't lose any. Just be real careful when you're turning those on. They're brass. They can bend and leak. That's, as soon as you get them set, sniff them and make sure that there's no leak there, because if there's going to be a leak, that's where it's going to be with a remote. All right. When you guys go out on a call, we have guidelines that we pay off of. And this is my daily battle, because we want you guys in as fast as possible, in and out. That's our goal. We're gonna give you everything you need when you order that part. Everything that you get, please use. We have, when we send this new float out, we also send this jumper, and this goes to the board, it connects behind, and then this plugs into the control board. All right? I get a lot of calls where they put the new float in and they say it's still not working. I said, did you change the jumper all the way back to the board? Well, no. Well, because it's faster. That's why they don't do it. So if we send it, please change it. That way we can eliminate the whole process, okay? Because I can't test this wire. If there's a broken wire in there, there's no way to test that. That's why we send it out, just change it and be done. Then you know. Then you can call me and say, hey, I just did the whole thing, put the jumper in, it's not working. Now we can move forward. We know that's eliminated and we can go from there. Cold draft, we would like them cleaned twice a year. All right, so tell your customers, and that's not by them, that's by you guys. We want you to go in there, make some easy money, and take care of these machines the way they're supposed to be taken care of, and everybody will. You guys will make money, they'll last longer, everybody's happy. I spend a lot of time, when I told Dan, the longest you'll ever wait for a phone call back from me, if you call and leave and it goes to the voicemail, leave a message. I check those as soon as my light lights up, or it comes up on my computer screen. So leave a message with your number. I will call you back, I promise. Calling me back 80 times in a row when I'm on another call will not make me respond to you any faster, I promise you. I won't be any slower, but it will not make it any faster. I'll take it as they come off the phone. Some calls are a little longer, but I go to lunch from 12 to 1. That'll be your biggest wait time if you call in that hour sometime. Where they make me take a lunch, so I can't do it. So that's, just be patient. Like I said, and it is going to be just me for a while, probably a good while. So after next month, I will get to you, I promise, and it won't be long. That's still my top priority, is that phone, so I won't make you wait long. When you do call in, if you would, just have, what I ask is, at least try to make the ice machine run once, okay? If you're there for a cleaning, run it first. Make a batch of ice, and then clean it. And then you can see, well, this wasn't like this when I started. You have something to compare it to. When you get there, try to run it. If it only runs for 5 minutes and you get an alarm, you know, watch that machine. And if you watch the control board, it's gonna tell you what that machine is doing. And everything is listed, arm up, plate up, the lights will light up, high water light, low water light. It tells you everything that's going on. So just, you know, kind of compare what the machine's doing to that control board, and then call me. Grab a paper and pen, and then call me. Or be real quick with your notes on your phone, either way. So, but yeah, that's usually I spend a lot of time in. And you know, it doesn't seem like a long, but you know, a minute a phone call and somebody's looking for a paper and pen to write down a part number. So just try to, you know, because I'm trying to get to the next guy. It could be you, could be you, could be anybody, you know.
Yeah.
So just remember that when you're calling. And I'll spend as much time as we need. I have FaceTime capabilities if anybody has an iPhone. I have WhatsApp on my Android phone, my work phone. So I can get in front of machines, and it saves a lot of trouble, a lot of times, you know, because you're missing something that's easy, and I'm sitting there going, I'm missing something. Do you have an iPhone? You know, and look, and a lot of times, techs like to tell me what I want to hear, and I don't want that. I want what you're seeing and what's actually going on there, because then we can get right to the bottom of it. So our model and serial numbers are never, still get calls, people looking for the model and the serial number on the back of the unit. We would never put it on the back of the unit because most of the times you can't pull them out, and you take the front cover off our ice machine and it's right on the top rail everywhere. The SC under counter, you take off the front panel, it's on the inside. We had to find a place for it there. So and we didn't want to do it on the sides, and we don't want it on the front cover because it looks gaudy. So they're there, accessible on any machine. You don't have to go to the back. So, when installing cold draft ice machines, a couple things is bin probes. I get a lot of calls, especially on the GT3s and the GT5s. Our bin probes are on the right-hand side. We have nowhere, because we've got to zip tie them up, and we put a big orange tag on it that says stop. Must be installed before, and I get calls from end users, my ice machine makes great ice, but it won't shut off. Give me the model. And I usually know. How long's it been running? A week. Okay, yeah. Look on this. Oh, yeah, there it is, big orange thing, and you just got to drop it in. So we got to make sure that our ice machine shut off. Or again, it'll build up into there, and when that water plate comes down, it wants to move, and the ice is pushing it, and then we break springs and plates and tanks and all the good stuff. So got to have that in. If you're stacking two ice machines, two new ones, we get it all the time, you know, real high volume place, 1064s, we got two of these monsters stacked on top of each other. You can stack two. You gotta have a stacking kit in between them. Call me, I can give you a part number, all right, and we can order those. But they have to have a stacking kit in between them for chutes and different things, okay? So say you get out there and we're like, whoever ordered this didn't order a stacking kit. I know there's got to be something between them. Just remember that, you know, and call me and I'll walk you through it. But you got to have that stacking kit. If you get to that point and you call me and you got to say, hey, I need a stacking kit. They didn't do this. Start the bottom machine. Still run it. Just run the bottom machine. And then you can go back and do the stacking kit after. Even if they're on top, we can add everything in at the end. So at least they have ice.
Yeah.
So again, they're the ones that we got to make happy, so we'll give them something. All of our units have, on our newer units, about the last year and a half, the control box cover. You're going to take that off anyways. All right, it's got, on one side, it's got a sticker with codes and alarm codes. And they're going to be listed 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, all the way up to 100. All right, on our new boards, we have only room, we have a digital display that reads that tells you what it is. We then only had room for one number, so we just dropped the zeros off it. All right, so 20 is 2, 30, 3. All right, so you can look on there and see what that code is. On the other side of that is a parts list. All the major parts are given to you, right there. We try to I have people call and they're like, this is the best thing that I've ever seen. a sticker, but it gives you all those part numbers. So they're there. Yeah, you can, you know, most anything you're gonna need. There's oddball stuff that, you know, you get to the bottom of that yellow sheet and it says, call Dave. At that point, call me and I'll give you whatever you need, so. You gotta remember too, warranty covers, we don't need any special, if somebody calls here and says, or I give you, you know, let's say somebody calls in and say, hey, I have a cold draft, and they're gonna say, is it under warranty or not? You don't need any special, whether it's under warranty or not under warranty, obviously not under warranty, do whatever you know, you've gotta do. But warranty wise, you don't need any special permission from Cold Draft to go work on that ice machine. All right, we don't need to give authorization codes, PO numbers, just go do your thing. Warranty covers defective parts, diagnosing defective parts, and replacing defective parts. That's it. That's what your warranty covers. It's the only thing we can control. We don't cover setup issues are not a Cold Draft issue. Adjustments. When we talk about end users getting their hands in there, and they'll move stuff, and they'll change stuff, and then you guys will get there, have no idea what they did, because they're not gonna tell you. They're not gonna tell me. None of my employees did it. That's the first thing you're gonna hear. We have never touched it. And there's pieces on the ice machine that can't be moved unless somebody's moving them. So just remember that, all right? So when they call and say, you know, I mean, I got a $200 bill. Of course, you're going to tell them, talk to your boss, you got nothing to do with it, but Cold Draft's only going to cover what we can control, and that's the quality of the parts that are on the machine. If they break, you replace them free of charge all the way around, okay, in that first 3 years. Warranty, this is another tough one, but when you take off, if you guys set up a Cold Draft, when you take off the front cover, 2 screws on the bottom, you take the front cover off, you're gonna see a yellow sheet, not this one, but another yellow sheet, and it's a warranty registration form. Don't throw that away. We would like you guys to fill it out. It gives a spot for the company that fills it, that's doing the setup, the end user information, and then just some questions. Is it level, is it, you know, going through the check sheet on here, we'll go over that, but it's gonna cover all of that, okay? So, their warranty will start, it's supposed to be turned in 15 days from the date of install, all right? There's an electronic one out there also, colddraft.com. If it gets misplaced, it can be filled out and forwarded right to our office, all right? That's when the warranty starts. I'm not a stickler of 15 days and that's it, okay? I mean, I get them 30 days, you know, give me something, all right? If I get nothing, then there's consequences on the warranty. It's usually off the back end, because we don't want to penalize them and, you know, sorry you didn't turn that in within 15 days, you have no warranty. We want to work with you, but we've got to know where these machines are at, because we sell to distributors. We don't sell directly to the end user. If somebody says I bought this directly from Cold Draft, probably not. All right, so there's, you know, a few instances, but most of them go through distributors. We don't know when they get out. We want to make sure they're turning over their inventory. We want the, you know, the older stuff out first, so they know that, and we got to get it out. So work on with the just get these turned in. That's the big thing, is get them turned into us so we can keep. It protects us, it protects them, and everybody's covered. People will call and ask for, they'll lose a year off the back end of the warranty, and then they call and go, can I get an extended warranty? Cold Draft doesn't offer an extended warranty. I don't know any companies that do. So yeah, that's what you got is what you get. So if they lose that one year off the back end, they're not very happy about it. The evaporator, I mean, this thing hasn't changed a whole lot over the years. It's the heart of our ice machine. Gives you that big cube. All right, you're gonna have, I'll go over some other issues on this, but all it is copper covering nickel. Okay, so again, those are made in China now. We have a few left that we've made in-house, but we did always make those in-house. We'll go over this down on the machine too. This is our water plate. The same people have made this plate for us since 1955, Jamestown Plastics. We get these, we glue the water box on when we get them, and we glue this header on. All right, we get all the pieces in. This company is actually in Jamestown. I know the owner. Or in, I'm sorry, Brockton. It's called Jamestown Plastics, but they've been around a long time. We glue these slats in. We have a girl that does this. I did this for a while. Chemicals kick my butt. Give me a headache every day. I hate it. She does it. It's like it's nothing. But she's real good. Occasionally these leak. These are all get water tested to make sure nothing that we put on leaks. Occasionally you'll see a leak down here. If that glue is gone, it will leak water. The only fix to that is to replace the plate. All right. If any of this stuff's leaking that we did, you're never going to get it back on there. All right. So once you get, you're going to see a gap. Let's see what I got going here. But you're going to see a gap there. You should be able to put like a nickel, slide a nickel in that gap. That's all done on our test line. You should never have to mess with it. But if somebody has gone in and taken a spacer out or something, we could get into trouble there. But if you're ever thinking, wow, the bridge is too big or too small, because you're going to have a bridge around the ice cube, check that gap. Just take a quarter or a nickel and slide it in there. If it fits pretty good, you're pretty safe to say it's good enough. We're the only manufacturer that can go back and say to ice machines that these will work on our old machines, like 30 years old machines, 20-year-old machines. This hasn't changed. This process here hasn't changed. So if you see a cold draft, we've got parts for it. There's a few that used to use a pen weight and a ball, and guys used to trick it, put pennies in, I guess. I was way before my time. I don't know. My boss probably, well, he does remember it, but there's a few things that we're running out of on those roll units, but we have everything you need. The springs that pull these water plates up, they're hooked into this cam arm. If you're looking at it, I'm in the front of the machine, all right? This is going to be here, and this is what's raising this up and down with that actuator motor. The board tells it it's time to move up, all right? So these springs, they're the same spring as on the front and the back. You order, you get a 2-pack. See, that one's broke. I broke that in a class in Colorado. I was taking it off and snap. But they will break. These have been around since the beginning of our ice machine, 1955. We're using the same spring, same everything. These are going away. Yeah, that's why I said we've got some stuff coming that's going to really change this. We're going to take our actuator motor and they are going to mold in here where this goes over the shaft of the motor to raise it, a square piece of metal. They're going to mold that in there, and then we're going to have a square lock on the actuator. It's going to be direct, straight up and down, which will eliminate all of this. That is going to be a game changer. So that's going to be, that's in the process. It's close. We're doing it on our crushers. That has an actuator motor. That motor's the same since 1955. That didn't change. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just parts to it. So, but that's all in the process of changing. So there'll be a lot of different stuff going on. Again, we have units that are 35, 40, 42-year-old. People are still using them in restaurants. They're out there. So I don't know. I'm sure that probably some other manufacturers have some old ones out there. I don't know. I can only speak for ours. But yeah, we had a unit in our facility since 1964. That's saying 62, but 64 it's been running continuously. It just keeps on going. We use 304 stainless on our ice machines. All right, so will stainless steel rust? That's a question for you guys. What do you think? Stainless steel rust? Not supposed to, is it?
No.
It does. It will. If you get water on it sitting in one spot,
Yeah,
I've seen it. So that's another thing, if they wanna, what can I do? Wipe down any water that's on stainless, you know, once a week, once every other week. Just tell them to open the front cover, just wipe everything down. Again, you do that on your cleanings too, you know, everything gets wiped down, but it will rust. It's good stainless, but if it's not maintained properly, you will get some rust. 3 ounces of cleaner in the water plate. I tell everybody, water plate, you can dump it right in here. Once the plate goes up and it starts to fill with water, just dump your cleaner, 3 ounces of cleaner right in here. That'll go into the tank, go through, put it in the clean cycle, let that run 20 minutes, I believe. And when you're in the clean mode, it'll dump itself and go back up. I'll show you down there on the machine all the tricks of how to force a harvest, how to move that plate by hand, all that kind of good stuff. So when we get down there, that'll be the stuff you really want to hear, not this stuff here. Vinegar and water for wiping down the machine is good. You know, if we want to wipe down all the outsides. I've seen some really, really bad machines. It makes me want to not go eat places. There's one tech in North Carolina, I was down there, and they were having problems with the machine. And he goes, I have a 1-year rule. He goes, after that company's been open, or that, you know, restaurant's been open a year, he goes, me and my wife don't go back. I go, you know, that's probably a pretty good rule to live by. Yeah. You know, he goes, I've just seen too many of these places. I mean, I've seen literal mold, black mold growing off. And I've gotten calls, your cold draft machine's got mold all over it. Okay. What would you like me? How would you like me to remedy that one? You know, so you gotta keep it clean. Another thing is when you look down the inside of this water plate, it's going to be on the right hand side when this drops down. Okay, if you're looking from the back, you're going to see these plugs. All right, those are on each lateral. There's a plug that holds the water in there. Those can be pulled out. Say you're having problems with this lateral right here, something blocking it. You can reach in there with a pair of needle nose, pull that out, turn it on. Water will flush through it and get rid of anything that's in there. You can do all of them, one of them, whatever. If you get you know, you may have a problem with each one of these little spray holes is a cube. Okay, so you go every time, you know, they're complaining that they're missing one ice cube, or, you know, it's funky looking or whatever. Usually one of those is plugged up. Best thing to do is, you know, you can count 3 up, 4 back, whatever. Excuse me. Take a paper clip and just poke it down through those holes. If there's any ice or anything blocking them, that'll pop it out. I will also show you downstairs. What happens, these are not going to come out easy. Okay, they're not going to just pop out. But what happens is people want that full cube. And as soon as that happens, what's going to happen is, okay, now we have nowhere for it to go. The cube is really full. Now we start freezing water to this water plate. Now we can't push water up anymore. It's got to go somewhere. You know, water is going to path of least resistance. It's going to push those plugs out. So you walk up on an ice machine, first thing, missing a plug, I got water running down, you know, put it in clean, and water's just running down into the tank, or into the drain pan and gone. Mm-hmm. Check those plugs. Somebody's overfilling it, and we popped a plug. I'll show you where an extra one of those is in case you get in trouble. Nickel safe, any nickel safe will work. Okay. We do sell it, you know, but any nickel safe will work. Say you come across a customer that says, this thing is out of warranty and I want a full ice cube. I'll show you how to do that. It can be done. It's easily done. If that's the case, I'm sure they probably have done it before, or said, you know, I'm running this thing and it's really full, but we'll go over on how to get that out of there. And if they insist and it's under warranty, that's fine, but again, we're going to cancel their warranty because we can't pay for those parts. Back to the rust. We have on our GT3 units, the smaller units, it's got a metal deflector, water deflector, for when the water dumps down on the plate and goes down and deflects into the drain. Everything else is plastic, the other units, but that metal one This side, the inside of that, water hits it all the time and it's constantly running over it, no rust. On the opposite side of that, you'll see rust because it doesn't get wiped down. So anything metal, any of that stainless, just wipe it down. As long as it's getting continuous water flow over it, it'll be fine. A lot of times when you go up to an ice machine, they'll be like, well, the first couple batches are fine, and then it starts to freeze over. And then we're, again, water issues. That's your biggest problem with a cold draft, is that getting that consistent cube when somebody wants it different than what it is. All right, usually if you set it and we're not leaking any water anywhere, you're fine. It's not gonna, somebody's messed with it. When we go into a job, do you guys open up the boxes with parts in them? Or does somebody do that here? Do you know, like, you get order a part from Cold Draft and you just, how do you guys get it? Is it
Yeah, our
open
warehouse
box?
manager will receive it, check it out, make sure it's what it should be, and then leave it in the box for us to take it.
Okay, and you should have, with Cold Draft, you're gonna have a warranty guideline and a warranty registration form in that box.
That would be left for us.
Okay, that would, don't throw it out, okay? Just take a peek at it, you know, hey, they're telling me I get an hour and a half to change this water plate. You get done and it's taking you 2.5 hours, all right? I'm not gonna hold you to 1 hour and a half, but if I get the invoice and there's no explanation for that other hour,
Yeah.
I can't read minds, I don't know what you're doing there. So just put it on there, you know, or call me real quick and say, hey, this took an extra hour for this reason. I'll give you an authorization so I don't forget, because when I see that on all it is my initials, DE, and then the time and date, concurrently numbers after it, and I'll give you that, tell them, put it right on the invoice, that way I'm not even gonna question it. I approved it a month ago, now we get the paperwork, and it's good to go. So I can only pay what's on the invoice. So that's, you know, a lot of people go, I get them back, I'll adjust them according to our guidelines. Nothing else said on there. And then they call me after they get their, you know, when I cut it, they're going, what's going on? He did this. I go, show me on that invoice where it says this.
Yeah.
I can't pay it if I don't see it. So put it on there, and if I have a question, I'll call. You know, I have no problem doing that, so just make sure you put everything on there. It doesn't have to be word for word, but, you know, I don't need a 6-page invoice for a float change out, but you know what I mean. We have a 230 bin, a 400-pound bin, 600 and 950, all right? We try to keep people away from the 200s. It's tiny, you don't get much ice in there at all. And then the bin stat hangs down 6 to 8 inches. So, you know, you're getting that much ice in there. So just try to keep them, the bigger, I mean, you don't have to have a 950-pound in every establishment. Those will only hold certain machines, but we'll go over that. When they do order a cold draft, and if they get a crusher with it, a crusher underneath it, that has to be, they have to decide that when they order the machine, whether they want that 50-50 bin or smaller, 60-40. All right, so we put that in at the shop, so we've got to know how much of what they want, okay? Despite the rumors, we've never closed. We've been close a few times, I guess, before I got there. When I got hired on, they were doing a bagger project. This thing was a monstrosity. And they changed one of our 1064s to be a 1,000-pound machine to do a 2,000-pound machine. So instead of 2 plates, we had 4 side by side. It was unbelievable, but they lost a lot of money on that. The owner, the guy that owned us at that time, millionaire in Erie. But yeah, it was quite a project, and we put a lot of people on. That's how I got in, not with that project, but on the cold draft side, and that's gone by the wayside now. So But we've been close a few times. Cold Draft's gone through a couple bankruptcies, but we've come out on the other side, and things are good. So I wouldn't be here if they weren't. So we do have an X series. All right, the X series you're going to see on our models. There'll be say a GBX 1064. The only thing that's different on those are your covers. Softer plastic, black louvers, plastic louvers, and it's got a little display on the front. That display is going to tell you whether you're in the ice making mode, the clean mode. People want to see that, and so it tells you how long your cycle time is, that kind of stuff. So you can use it, you know, to your advantage. You can check last cycle times and that kind of thing. So, what time we got?
8:50.
8:50. Okay. We'll go a couple more minutes here. Let's do this and then we'll take a break. Checklist. Real easy. They're probably pretty standard across the industry. All right, when you get them, big thing is level. If they're not level, we're going to have problems. Clearance around the machine, air circulation, we'll go over those in the cut sheets. Electric and water, you check the voltage, make sure everything is good, because a lot of times electricians aren't right on the ball. So temperatures range 45 to 90. All right, those are optimal ranges to run this unit. They will run on either end of that, past it, but you're gonna go, it's gonna take a while to make ice. Water, same 45 to 90 again. You don't want to run hot water to this thing. I've seen it. 20 to 100 psi for water pressure is all we need. Water-cooled condensing units, we've got to have an extra line. We don't want to run the head in the condenser. That condenser is going to be running water, pulling hot water out of there and dumping it down the drain all cycle long. So we've got to have two separate water lines for our water units. One in, and then one into each. One into the head, into the water valve, and then one into the condenser. Drain lines. When you get the book, it shows, we have a picture in there, and it shows what it should look like behind the ice machine. If you got a standpipe, you got to have an individual drain. You can go into it from your bin, because you're going to have leakage from your bin. And then from the ice head, we've got to get rid of. We give you enough water to make a batch of ice, plus I think it's maybe a half a gallon is all we're going to waste. Not even that. You can, and that depends on where that's set with the water too. All right, so we can take care of that. The ice makers and bin drains, they need to be vented. All right, so if you're putting in a standpipe drain, make sure it's vented. That's usually what we do, and that's what that picture shows, and just runs, standpipe drain, and then we drain into it. Again, bin thermostats, those are big ones. Gasket between the ice maker and the bin top, make sure those get put in. I just went through a big thing, they got water everywhere, wasn't installed. Of course, they want us to pay for it. Try to run a batch of ice when you get there. All right. Obviously, a couple would be a good idea if you're setting the machine up and you're setting it in place. I get a lot of places that, I don't know why this is, but it doesn't make any sense to me. They have one company that'll come in and just set the thing in place and hook the water and never run it. And then they've got to call another company in to do a startup, which it could all been done right there. I just don't understand that thinking of why we're spending all that money doing that, but I guess maybe it's the world we live in. Everybody's got their own little niche. Clean and sanitize the unit before it starts, before we start serving ice, and then after we're done, we're gonna wipe down the bin, get everything, throw the first few batches out, wipe everything down so it's ready to go. Secure all your panels. The high pressure reset button that listed on there, it's all automatic now. We've gotten rid of the push button. So if it goes off on the high head, you can't just push it and reset it, just let it cool down, and it'll go, and then you'll be able to go from there. Registration card, and there will be an installation operation manual with each one. Make sure that gets left with them as well. Make sure your fan, if you've got a remote, make sure the condenser fan's running properly. We have had them where they were backwards from the factory. Wasn't caught on the test line. It should have been caught. Refrigeration discharge line to the remote condenser. Make sure that's insulated. It will come insulated, but if you see it, you get it, and there's no insulation on either pipe, we got a problem. So, other than that, let's take a break. Take 10, and then we'll come back up and we'll get into the machines and the fun part. That part's over.